Hey everyone, it's Michael from Notefolds, and today I'm going to show you how to make this honey whole wheat bread in your bread machine. And I'll give you a few variations on the recipe throughout where you could make this bread 100% whole wheat. It's pretty easy to get started, so let's go ahead and start mixing up our ingredients. Here are the ingredients we'll be using for this bread and the order that we'll be placing them in the bread machine. We have 1 1/8 cup of warm water, not hot. We have 2 tablespoons of butter, softened, not melted. You could substitute 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. We have a 1/4 cup of honey. This will be the only sugar that we'll be adding to the bread. We have 2 cups of whole wheat flour and 1 cup of bread flour. If you wanted to make this bread 100% whole wheat, you could substitute another cup of whole wheat flour. We have 1 teaspoon of salt, and we have 1 1/2 teaspoons of yeast. If you're using the yeast packets, please note that sometimes those packets contain more yeast than you may need. I've taken the bread pan out of my bread machine. I'm going to add the ingredients now. We're going to start with the wet ingredients. So we have our 1 1/8 cup of water. Remember, that's slightly warm. Then we're going to put in our 2 tablespoons of softened butter. Then we'll use our honey. Now you're probably going to need a spatula to help you get the honey out of here, or whatever measuring cup you're using, because it is rather sticky, as you can imagine. Okay, there's our honey. And then we're going to put in the dry ingredients, and I'll start with the whole wheat flour. There's my first cup. And then my second cup. And then we have our 1 cup of bread flour. And again, if you want to make this 100% whole wheat, just use another cup of whole wheat flour. Then we have our 1 teaspoon of salt. Put that off to the side. And then what you want to do is just make a small depression in the middle of your flour. And that's where you're going to want to pour in your 1 1/2 teaspoons of yeast. Pour that right into the center. So there we go. All of our ingredients are in our bread pan, and now we'll put it into our bread machine. Now that your bread pan is inside of your bread machine, you just need to set it to the appropriate setting. And on my machine, it is setting number 3, which is 3 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm going to set the crust color to light. And it's also a 2-pound loaf, so make sure that that setting is set. And then when you're ready to go, just hit start. And you can see here is our dough ball after only 4 minutes of mixing. It's looking very good, and you can see we don't have any flour stuck on the side. So this is looking like it's going to turn out great. Well, our bread is looking pretty done, so let's go ahead and take it out of the bread machine. And here's the bread once it's been pulled out of the pan, and you can see that we have just a really nice light color on that crust. It looks good enough to eat, but I think I better let it cool off first before I try it. Well, I hope you enjoyed making this bread with me, and if you come up with any variations to this recipe, please post them in the comments below.